If you're like me, you love those stories about people having near-death experiences because they feel so visceral. They feel so amazing. Did you know that you can have those kinds of experiences, out-of-body experiences, without having to die or almost die? Yes, self-initiated astral projection. That's something that I talk about in this video. I left my body and I found myself getting a surgery from ETs, and it was amazing. So I'm going to share it with you. Okay, I'm actually sharing with you some exclusive content from my program called Astral Mastery, which is the ultimate intuitive expansion program where we also learn how to do self-initiated astral projection or out-of-body experiences, lucid dreaming, telepathy, remote viewing, and of course, we are expanding our psychic abilities. And we're really becoming masterful of the substrate of our stellar essence or our astral essence so that we can be fully omnidimensional. And a big part of this is actually to prepare ourselves for open contact with extradimensionals, extraterrestrials. And the reason why this is on my heart is because the way that we are moving into the new golden era, what would be our new Atlantis, and that which would be able to have us be able to utilize a relationship, be able to have a relationship in open contact with Pleiadians or extra dimensionals, ETs, is that we need to be on the level of consciousness that can accept that, and a level of being masterful of our consciousness, because that is actually how advanced civilizations are more advanced than us, including our historical ones and the ones of our future. It's all about consciousness and being able to use consciousness technology. That's the setup for this. This is what happened when I left my body in a self-initiated astral projection. Yes, my body was perfectly safe and healthy. It's a wonderful experience. And I found myself getting surgery by ETs. Enjoy. Again, it was like so quick. It was like right on top of one another. Dreaming that I was getting hand surgery, then becoming lucid, and then instantly phased to astral projection. So it's like boom, 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 or it's all at one time. It's all in one instant. But however the phase went from the lucid dream to the astral projection, it was really cool. It was like a holodeck, you know, if you ever watched Star Trek and they're like on a holodeck and they're like, oh, doing something, and then they turn off the simulation. It was like, you know, or maybe in the Matrix. That's what it did. The chair was like either a dental chair. Of course, my hands are out like this because that was the thing. So that's what the scene was, but then it went like, and suddenly it all melted away, and it was like what was actually occurring. And so freaking wild, because then I just realized that just yesterday, there's a synchronicity to this that I wrote down, and I even talked to Carson about it, but I didn't. I'm just recognizing now, and I'm giving myself the note to reveal it to you after I tell this. Okay. So now the scene of the dream went away, and I was like, in this experience, I was still getting some kind of surgery on my hands, but it wasn't obviously physical because I recognized I was astral, I was non-physical. And so now I'm in an interdimensional plane. This is something that is like the more higher, the outer kind of interdimensional, whereas the first one was like inner dimensional. So I felt honestly as though I was just inside Archangel Ariel. I was like, that somehow this space was angelic inside of it. And it's not like I saw an angel or something. We were inside. We were having this thing inside Archangel Ariel. And there were 4 interdimensional entities all around. There were 2 here and 2 here. And one of the 2 was on my hand. One was doing surgery, and it started with my right hand. And it actually started with my right hand and the pinky on my right hand. And it was like they were cutting it open. And I was like, you know, I was so present to it. And I said, is this going to hurt? Like they had sliced it open. They were about to slice it open. And I asked if this is going to hurt. And they said to me, the one so lovely, I guess I should pause and describe the beings. They all looked, so they were wearing almost like lab coats, but they weren't totally human, and they were very soft and smooth looking, but then again, they kind of seemed like light because it was, you know, not totally physical, but had the hologram of it seemed almost physical, but they were kind of like lab coats, yet they were rounded and they went into this really like fluid thing. And I wouldn't say it was like a robe at all. It was almost seemed like crystalline marble, but it was also like a lab coat. I could see their feet underneath it, and their feet seemed to be wearing like sandals that were completely closed over. And then there was like a collar on each of them. They each had a collar on their coat or around their neck. And like one was like a blue color, one was like a gold color, one was kind of like a coral color, and one was just kind of like a white beige color, but it was like light, almost like it was illumined, and or maybe like almost like a turtleneck kind of. Then their heads were shaped kind of like candle flames, and they were very they were kind of light, they were white. Their faces were, again, sort of humanoid, but the features were softer, more smoothed over. And they were just so kind. And as I was sharing this a little bit with Carson, she was like, "Who were they?" And it was like, gosh, it's a sense of not labeling, because it's almost like it would be rude, because they were family. That's what I would say. They were family. They were family. This family is families feel. So that's what they appear like, but so kind, so loving, so patient. If you can imagine how rich, how deep, how beautiful patience can be, kindness and patience, that's what I felt. And like leaning in to me, like to whatever my deal was, and wanting to help me with my experience, and yet demanding nothing of me. But it was like, yeah, we're doing this. It was like they were already on the task when I came present to it. So they're about to, okay, back to the activity of it. What seemed like slicing open my finger. And I asked if it would hurt. And they paused, they all kind of paused. They were all kind of standing around, but the one that was doing the actual work on my hand said, well, it won't hurt, but it will be intense. And if you want, we can phase you down so for that moment, so that you don't have to really experience that intensity. And I was already feeling like this is intense. So I was like, yeah, I think maybe let's do that. Let's at least do it at first. And they said it would almost be like having anesthesia for just a second. And I don't know if you've ever had a surgery. I'm sure some of us have. But anesthesia is a wild thing, because there's no time that passes. I've had anesthesia like twice, and it goes like this. It's not like dreaming or sleeping at all. It's like, okay, you ready? Count from 10, 10, 9. There she is. And they're waking you up. It's like somehow they cut out a part of my life, So that's what they were giving me the vibrational package of. You remember what it was like to have anesthesia? It'll be like that. It'll feel like a second. Then I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And they started to do the thing, and I looked away, and it was like basically skipping a few frames. Then I looked back, and they were moving on to the next finger. And the moment that I blipped out, I phased down, it actually felt like when I actually had a different eye surgery, interestingly, when I had to get my lens replacement in my eyeballs, I was in twilight anesthesia. Not all the way in anesthesia, but a twilight anesthesia. So it was like I did lose a frame, but it was mostly, it was kind of there too. So then I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I can stay here for a little bit of it. So don't phase me out unless I just kind of like say that's enough. And they're like, yeah, sure. We can just go by, how you're receiving it. So then I watched as they moved to the next finger, and they were slicing it. They sliced it open, and it seemed like they were using some kind of almost like a scalpel. And then I watched as they were like making adjustments. I would phase away, and then I would come back. So maybe it was like a half of a second, because it was like it was going to be a little too intense. And it was like they were doing two different things on the adjustments that they were making. It was like almost like if you've ever seen an arthritic finger that is crooked, it was like they were turning the bones around. But then they were also like adjusting what would seem like the nerves, but of course it's not physical nerves. It's more like pathways or meridians, and they were doing that too. And I could see the light inside the nerves, but really the pathways. I could see the energy of it, and it was like I could look and get I could see, like I magnified into it and see what they were doing, and they were making these adjustments. And then there was another interdimensional who was now on my left hand, and then they began to work there. And this one went really fast. It was like sped up tape, like as I watched pretty much all of that. I think I maybe blipped out for a second, but it was such a short amount of time that it almost seemed like I didn't at all. And I watched all of that. I experienced it. And I was just really, honestly, pretty confused about the whole process. It was fascinating, intense, and it was confusing. So they told me that it is a significant adjustment and there won't be any painful recovery time. Because, these are the kinds of things, they're reading my questions or my curiosities or my wonderings, because of any surgery or any major thing that we get on the physical body. Obviously, we have recovery time, we have pain, we have incision pain and everything. And they said, so there won't be any of the painful recovery time. And that the more that I affirm my acceptance of it, as I have already been doing, the swifter everything will move forward. So to get similar to the other one, more encouragement to just keep moving forward, keep accepting, in a sense, keep relaxing into it. That was sort of it. And it was like I started to float or drift out of the location. And then I was astral projected in like what seems like the physical world. I've been talking about these ones and it's like, oh, I was on the moon, or oh, I was here. I do sometimes the things where I seem to be on Earth, visiting Earth places, and this one happened. I drifted out of that place, and I was on the sidewalk in the middle of the night, which is what time it was. It was actually on a street that's it's about 1.5 miles away from my home, and it's the building next door to my tennis and fitness club that I belong to, and it's like an office building. And it was like I was standing there, and it was like, did I just come? Was that thing that just happened in that building? And then it was like, it seemed like I emerged out of the building, but it was like there was a portal. I don't know. Again, it was really strange. But it was though if it went somewhere close to the ground and up. They threaded me in. That's what they're telling me. But it felt like I drifted, and then suddenly I was here. And I was like, then this is some of the fun stuff that you do astral projecting, because I was out of body, but in a physical place. It was cold because it was the middle of the night, but it felt good. So it was like a bracing kind of cold. And then I just started doing one of my favorite things, which is levitating. And the way I levitate in astral projections is I kind of flip my feet like you're dog paddling in water. And I just kind of flip my feet and just levitate over the sidewalk. And it was in the middle of the night and there was no one around. So I didn't expect to see anyone. And I was just doing that for a while, flapping my feet. I thought about my hands, and I thought about my hand surgery, and then I was boom, back in the body. And that back in the body was more of the typical, not like slamming, but it was like I thought about my hands and it was like, whew, and I woke up. I came up in my body. The mechanical lessons here, they said there's enough labels that we already experience in physical reality. I am in like a Facebook group for astral projection, and you see people's very strong opinions about things. Like you'll see someone say, well, you have to master lucid dreaming first. That's how you can astral project. Someone else says, no, real astral projection only happens if you don't fall asleep at all. And all those things are, maybe that's that individual's experience and that's how it always habitually occurs for them. I don't know. Just forget about all of that. And then again, there are so many shades in between all of our labels. I was just on a podcast last week, and the host asked me, like, how do you define mediumship and channeling? He's like, because I have some guests who say mediumship is only talking to dead people. And one person says, mediumship is this. Another person says, well, channeling is this and that. And then, what do you think about all of that? And I was like, well, if you look at a rainbow, you go, okay, that part of the rainbow is orange and that part of the rainbow is red. But if I keep paying attention to every single fractal, I'm going to find a part where I won't know if I want to call it red or orange, you know? And that's a beautiful color too. That's a beautiful frequency. And so that's my takeaway from all of this, is the richness of it and being present with all of it, enjoying all of it, letting it all be delicious. And then finally, I'll just say the hand surgery and the significance of this. Well, it started with my right hand, so it was what I'm giving to the world, how I'm reaching out and making those adjustments to put those paths straight, because that's apparently what I called in. Because again, when I came lucid to it, when I came aware of it in the astral, and I was like, oh, what's happening? They're like already halfway through it. They're like, it's okay, honey. You know, like permission's already been granted. This has been planned. And then, so it started with the right one, then it went to the left one, which is what I'm receiving. And it was interesting because that one went fast and I was present to it. And that was something that being really a part of the process was visceral and you know, rich in my awareness in different ways, though. You know, they were both really rich in my awareness. And I have to say that I am deeply accepting it. I am feeling more and more relaxed and finding that relaxed home frequency of being in this. And I'm finding a connection to my need to express my mission, my need for it, you know, attaching a sense of this life. I came here to paint something, to create something. And that's what I am going to do. And I'm going to do it despite the conditioning. I am calling on the help of it to support me in doing it despite my fears. I want to do this. I have a sense of needing, anchoring into a strong, willful need to do the beautiful thing that I came here to do. And I know there are things going on, wars, pain, and I am choosing to do it anyway. That's what I think this hand surgery is about, at least in part. And so I want to share my passion with you about it. And thank you again so much for being in this journey, because having friends and loved ones to share it with, it makes the amplification that much more expanded. So those are my stories. I hope you find something enriching for you and can just take it to your heart to be in your experiences. I hope you enjoyed that, and I just want to invite you to check the description, because the Astral Mastery program is actually available for enrollment right now. It is live. It's ongoing, live. Every week we have live classes, and so and twice per month we have practice. It's amazing. So you can check it out, and you can expand your consciousness, open and expand your intuitive abilities wherever you are with them, and be able to do that personal development that puts us on that evolutionary path for that next golden age. That we are right there on it. 2027 is coming, y'all. It's going to be amazing. So thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.